said I was going to film a video last week and life got in the way, so I am filming 2 this week. The first one, which I'm filming today, is going to be a 2-way brow tutorial. So I'm going to show you how I do my brows. I either usually do them more of like an Instagram slick done brow, and then I also do like a big fluffy more relaxed brow for when I don't want anything too overdone. So I'm going to run you through all the brushes I use, the products and the techniques I also use to get the 2 brow looks. So if you want to know how I do my brows, stay watching. So I start about halfway through and I just decide where I want the bottom of my brow to be, and I just mark it out a little bit. Wow, this is really hard to film. Okay, and then I'm just gonna create that line. I put my brush down and I drag the product like that. Nothing needs to be perfect right now because we're going to clean it up afterwards. So the first thing you want to do is you're literally just mapping out the shape. So pressing it down and pulling the product. And then I'm going to go back and dip into my dip brow. And I'm going to just go over that slightly. That's fine. I'm following the shape of my eyebrow that's there anyway. It's just going to be a little bit of a cleaner shape because obviously my brows are quite messy at the moment. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab more product again. And I'm just going to map out where I want the top of my brow to be. And I'm going to pull that product round. Again, it looks so messy, but it really doesn't matter. And then I'm just filling in the tail of the brow. I go over this with powder anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to go in with some brow powder. The brow powder I'm using today is Morphe Brushes Brow Palette. It's called Brow 8 and it looks like this. The next part is I'm going to take the darkest colour in the Morphe Brow Powder Palette and I'm going to cover everything we've already put down with powder. Again, we're just avoiding the front of the brow. Just darkening it up and setting what we've got there. So you've already got the shape there, you're just kind of filling over it just to make sure everything's really dark and set. And I'm just going to brush through what I've put down just to make sure the product is evenly distributed. Just really gently, you don't want to move any lines you've set down, you just want to make sure everything's even. And then as you get towards this part of the brow, you're going to slightly brush it through a little bit further. Okay. I'm gonna, again, map where I want the bottom to be and pull it round. Now I'm not using dip brow, I'm using powder, so it's just going to be a lot lighter and feathered. Now instead of filling in the front, I'm going to press on the bottom where I put that line and I'm going to pull the product up. Like that. So I'm going to go into the bottom and carve out the bottom line of the brow, which is slightly more difficult, but if you lay your brush flat against the skin, as you did at the top, it makes everything a lot easier. So I always start from the front of the brow, and I'm just going to lay it flat here and pull it along. So flat, pull, and then I'm going to do that for the rest of the brow as well. Okay, so once that's the shape you want, either get rid of the excess of concealer that's on the top of your brow with your fingers, or you can use a brush just to press that into your skin. And then I'm just going to take my Morphe flat brush again with any leftover product. I'm not going to dip it into any more powder. I'm just going to use whatever's there. And I'm just going to go to the front of the brow. I'm going to hold it against my skin like this. And I'm just going to press some tiny little strokes up in the front, just like that. Really, really light pressure. Just to finish it off. And that's my Instagram brow. So I'm going to start on the second brow, which is going to be a more kind of like relaxed, fluffy brow. The first thing I'm going to do is use a spoolie brush, the one we used earlier from Eco Tools, just to brush through my brow hairs, and I'm just going to focus on brushing them up. So I'm just brushing all the hairs up, so they're all facing the same direction. The next thing I'm going to do is use now a lot of people use a brow gel for this. I actually use clear mascara because I think it stays better. You can use any clear mascara that you like, and I just use that to do the same thing that we did with the spoolie, which is brush my brows up. I have foundation all over my hair. Okay, so I'm just going to brush gel or mascara through my brows and just brush everything up. Once all the brow hairs are in the right direction, I'm going to take my Morphe micro brow pencil in chocolate mousse, which looks like this. And it's got two ends. One end is a spoolie and one end is a brow pencil, which looks like this. And I'm going to use this to not carve out the brow, but more start matching the hairs that I already have and filling them in slightly to create more depth. So I lay the brush flat against my skin and start pushing upwards to create hair strokes. And I'm following, it doesn't matter what it looks like really right now, I'm just following where the brow strokes are sitting now. So if they're sitting in a certain direction, then you're just following that. Using really, really light pressure here. You can see it's getting darker and some of the sparse areas are getting filled in. So we can start focus on the end of the brow here. So I put a lot of pressure when I put my pencil down, and then I release the pressure as I'm pulling upwards. And I'm going to take my spoolie and brush that through, just so all the product is evenly distributed, like before. So I'm going to take my Morphe N410 flat brush again, and I'm going to dip it in some concealer, and I'm just going to carve out the top slightly. Now, I don't want this to be as kind of a perfect line as it was for the first brow we did, so I'm going to use very little product, and I'm just going to pull it round, but it doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, the whole point of this brow is for it to look like it's not really been done. Well, it does look done, but you know what I mean. Whatever. Okay, and then I'm going to go underneath. Now, I want the underneath to be very slick, because at the end I'm going to push the eyebrows up, and the bottom is going to be slick and the top is going to be more fluffy. So the bottom I'm going to kind of map out very similar to how I did for the first brow. I want to darken up the end of the brow, and I also want to create a little bit of kind of hairs as we go along. So I'm going to use the angled brush and the powder to kind of create some darker hairs. I'm going to hold, how am I going to hold the brush? Okay, so very similar to how I did with the pencil, I'm going to press and pull up. Just like that. I'm just going to go in for some more product. And when you get to the front of the brow, I'm just going to create some of those hairs again at the front. But I'm being a little bit more pressured with my pen, it's not a pen, with my brush, just because I want there to be a lot more hair. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit more product, and I'm just going to brush some fake hair strokes through the top of the brow as well. Okay, so when you have your product down how you want it, we're going to go into some mascara. I'm going to use some black mascara this time. So I'm going to take it out of the tube, and then I'm just going to rub the residue off. So there's not a lot of product on the wand. Okay, and then I'm going to very, very lightly run it through my brows, pushing them upwards, like very light strokes. And that's my fluffy relaxed brow. Okay, so that's my finished brow tutorials. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you actually learned something. I'm not the best at explaining what I'm doing, but if you have any questions, on products, techniques, anything that didn't make sense, leave a comment, or you can message me on YouTube or Instagram. But let me know if this is the type of thing that you want to see on my channel. I really like showing the sort of stuff that I do every day, as well as like the more crazy stuff. So let me know.